Okay, tell me when.
Okay.
Howdy heretics, today we're going to talk about why Anthony Morris III referred to himself as Anthony Morris III. Because Jehovah's Witnesses say that you should not seek glory for yourself, but the leaders to a certain extent have always done that. Charles Taze Russell referred to himself as the Laodicean messenger. He actually believed that he was personally predicted in the Bible. And obviously Judge Rutherford referred to himself as judge instead of Joseph. Technically, he was a judge. But then again, technically, I'm a judge. I actually served as a judge once, and I asked the elders in the congregation, I was PMO, but I like to mess with them, so I asked, is it okay if I refer to myself as Judge Gustafsson? And they say, no, 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 because that would be seeking glory to yourself. So then I said, what about Judge Rutherford? And it was awkwardly silent, awkwardly for them, and then they said, well, the rule doesn't apply to him. And then the next presidents, they would refer to themselves as the president of Watchtower. And as a kid, I asked my parents, you know, isn't that seeking glory to himself? And they said, well, it's an American, they are Americans and they have to do that for legal reasons. And I called BS on that. Like I'm a small business owner, I could technically refer to myself as president of my company. There's no legal obligation to do that, and everyone would think I was a moron if I referred to myself as Judge Gustafsson or President Gustafsson. I could also refer to me as Jonas the First, because I'm the first Jonas on this farm. That would also be a very moronic thing to do. So why do Anthony Morris refer to himself as the third? The witnesses, they don't have critical thinking skills. They actually said, the witnesses here in Norway, they say, well, maybe he's royal. Because it sounds royal, it sounds very fancy, Anthony Morris III. And I told him, United States of America is a republic. So he's not the king of America. And this came as news to many Jehovah's Witnesses. And then they said, well, maybe he's royal in a European country. I said, what country? And I say, and they actually said, maybe a small country that no one have heard about. And I said, well, the thing with being royal is you don't live in America. Like if you're king of Norway, he's actually not allowed to stay outside of Norway. He's not allowed to stay abroad. It's in the constitution. And secondly, if we are Jehovah's Witnesses and friendship with the world is being enemy with God, you know, shouldn't he denounce his royal title from the monarch, the kingdom, the small kingdom that no one ever heard of, with a constitution that allows him to be a cult leader in New York? Obviously there's no such country. So back then my impression was that Anthony Morris were using the title Anthony Morris III just for vanity reason. It sounds fancy. And I checked up on Wikipedia, and if you go to Wikipedia and you have the name Anthony Morris, you have a listing. There's one Anthony Morris, a second Anthony Morris, and therefore Anthony Morris, the cult leader, would be Anthony Morris III. So I thought that's how he came up with the name. Pure vanity. He was Googling himself, or he made it himself, and since there is a Anthony Morris I and Anthony Morris II, he referred to himself as Anthony Morris III. It sounds fancy. So that was my explanation, that he had found himself on Wikipedia and he used Anthony Morris III for a vanity reason. But then my American friend told me that no, in America you can use the Roman numbers if your grandfather is called Anthony Morris. So you have Anthony Morris I, Anthony Morris Jr. and Anthony Morris III. So, and I'm a lazy person, I don't want to do research, but I thought, I highly doubt that his grandfather is called Anthony Morris. I think this is a case of vanity, but I might be wrong, and I'm very lazy. So I think sooner or later some nerdy apostate will do all the job for me and do the research and find out whether he really is an Anthony Morris III, because his grandfather was called Anthony Morris. And thank God, Jehovah created a nice apostate that did the research. Look at this.
he describes himself in the publications as Anthony Morris III. And so if we look at the very first reference to him in the publications, when he was announced as joining the governing body, it refers to him as Anthony Morris III. And the same way in his life story in 2015, he describes himself in that way.
Remembering my first love has helped me to endure, as told by Anthony Morris III.
However, when I was able to eventually obtain his military service records, I noticed a discrepancy because it referred to him as Anthony Morris Jr. there. Now, when we look at the trust paperwork that his mom, Shirley, filled out, she filled this out here in 2010, we find that she refers to Tony as Anthony Morris Jr. And so you would think that if he was Anthony Morris III, certainly his own mom would refer to him in that way. But nope, we see here her three sons, John, Ronald, and Anthony Morris Jr. So what we're looking at here is a very interesting 3-page document. After Tony's mother died in 2013, they needed to kind of dispose of her house and property and whatnot. And so this is a document helping to do that from April of 2014. And so we can see in the first paragraph there under warranty deed, it describes him as Anthony Morris Jr. and then his two other brothers, John and Ronald. So here on page 2 we find Tony's signature, and you'll notice that sure enough he signs it Anthony Morris Jr. Obviously, for him to be the third, his father needed to be named Anthony Morris, and then his grandfather, his dad's dad, also needed to be named Anthony Morris. That's how it works. Now, fortunately, we have his father's marriage license. And so this is a very interesting document from 1944. So you can see on the left column is all of his dad's information, and on the right side is all of his mom's information. So his dad indeed was named Anthony Morris. But notice it's very interesting when you go down to line 9, full Christian and surname of father, he enters it as John Morris. And so there we kind of come to the crux of the matter, that you can't be Anthony Morris III if you're only the second Anthony Morris. So clearly, when Tony Morris of the governing body says he is Anthony Morris III, he is lying. He is Anthony Morris Jr., and that's it.
So Anthony Morris the third is actually Anthony Morris Jr. And my impression of Anthony Morris, the cult leader Anthony Morris, is that he's a very proud man. He doesn't seem to be a nice man. He talks about killing worldly people like they would be sausages on a grill. And when he's talking about killing worldly people, he's also talking about 16-year-olds with a driving license that are not baptized. He said you have to make your own commitment to Jehovah unless you're a toddler. So he actually believes that he himself will go up to heaven, no time for mingling, his own words, and then come back and start killing people, which would include people above the age of toddler. He's not, I don't think he's a very nice person. And he seems like the kind of person that would really seek glory for himself and refer to himself as Anthony Morris III. So, but this is just a theory of mine, that he got the number 3 from Wikipedia. So I think maybe we should try to mess a little with him, because if I'm right that Anthony Morris Jr. picked up the idea to call himself Anthony Morris III from the Wikipedia entry, then this is based on, well, obviously vanity, but it's based on the fact that there's 2 other Anthony Morris before him, and on Wikipedia they are referred to as Anthony Morris I and Anthony Morris II. And they were colonial mayors in Pennsylvania or something like that in the United States of America. But the actual mayors from the colonial time, they were actually 3. They were Anthony Morris I, Anthony Morris II, Anthony Morris III. But in Wikipedia, they only write about 2 of them. So Anthony Morris II is referred to on Wikipedia as Anthony Morris I, and Anthony Morris III is referred to on Wikipedia as Anthony Morris II, and hence Anthony Morris Jr. referred to himself as Anthony Morris III. That sounds fancy, and witnesses actually in Scandinavia actually believe he's royal, and I think that's messing with his mind. So let's mess with him. If someone go to Wikipedia and you make an entry about the real Anthony Morris III first, the colonial mayor, then you make an entry about his son Anthony Morris II, and then his grandson Anthony Morris III, and then the ball's real in Anthony Morris, the cult leader's corner. Should he keep referring to himself as Anthony Morris III, or should he start referring to himself as Anthony Morris IV? It would be fun to see. I like to mess with people, so please do that. And big shout out to Blue Envelope channel. He's making a lot of funny videos. I enjoy them, and he looks exactly like my brother. It's creepy. So you see behind me, there's a really nice area, and I'm gonna make some videos about this area on my Hillbilly channel if you subscribe to that, because when I'm over there with a camera, I can actually, standing on the ground using a camera, I can prove that we're living on a planet and not flat Earth. Sorry to spoil. And if you know, some people believe Earth is flat, but over there I can actually prove it. So please subscribe to my channel, and if you want to see a funny video about flat earthers, I can leave you a link in the description to a channel. That's a really good movie. So I hope you like this video. I hope you are among my 144,000 subscribers. I hope you go to my Hillbilly channel. It's called Goat Farming, because it rhymes with Prince Charming, so it's easy to remember. But no, this is a lovely day, so see you in paradise. So why am I creating a Hillbilly channel in addition to my apostasy channel? Well, there's two reasons for that. Firstly, the YouTube ranking system. YouTube will always try to recommend videos based on the fact that you liked the previous video. However, my apostasy channel covers 3 different subjects: happy goats, happy apostates, and human rights. So even if someone watched a video about human rights, he might not enjoy a video about goats, and people that like goats might not necessarily like apostasy. So this makes poor YouTube confused, and they don't want to recommend my videos, and it's hurting the channel. Secondly, March was a terrible month for me because of the current situation, and I lost a lot of my window cleaning business. So my YouTube money this month was actually my salary, and it's ice cream money, but you know, you can build an empire from ice cream money, and at least I'm gonna try. So instead of sitting home feeling sorry for myself, I decided to make more videos, and I'm actually a pretty good hillbilly, so I thought I can make some videos with tricks and do-it-yourself videos and hacks for how to become a better hillbilly. So if you're a closet hillbilly and want to learn some tricks, please subscribe to my goat farming channel.